The story of the Lincoln cent is much bigger than most people realize. When someone picks up a small penny, they rarely imagine how much history, mystery, metal changes, rare varieties, and unexpected surprises are hidden inside this tiny copper-colored coin. The Lincoln cent has been minted since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coins in the entire world. Over the years, billions have been struck, yet collectors continue to search for rare examples, valuable errors, and hidden treasures that still appear in circulation today. Every year tells a different chapter. In the world of modern U.S. coins, no single year is more confusing, more dramatic, or more fascinating than the year 1982. At first glance, a 1982 penny looks completely normal, just another coin that millions of people use every day. But collectors know that 1982 is unlike any other year in the entire Lincoln cent series. It is the year of the biggest metal transition, the year of multiple design varieties, and the year that produced one of the most legendary modern penny rarities ever discovered. If someone understands 1982 pennies deeply, they unlock a whole new world of hidden value and rare combinations that many beginners don't even know exist. Until 1982, the United States penny had always been made mostly of copper. But by the early 1980s, the price of copper kept rising, and the mint realized that it was becoming too expensive to continue producing solid copper cents. So in 1982, a major change took place. The composition of the penny was switched from 95% copper to a new structure made of 97.5% zinc with only a thin layer of copper on the outside. This copper coating gives the coin its familiar color, but the inside is pure zinc. Because the transition happened during the same year, the mint ended up making both copper and zinc pennies in 1982, which created a series of varieties that collectors still study today. But that's only the beginning. In 1982, the mint also used two different date styles, a large date and a small date. This means that for every composition, there are two visual differences. As a result, 1982 includes 7 standard varieties: copper large date, copper small date, zinc large date, zinc small date, and the Denver minted zinc and copper versions. But the most famous part of 1982 is the unexpected discovery of a coin that was never supposed to exist, the 1982 D small date copper cent. This coin is considered a modern treasure because official records say that no copper small date coins should have been produced at the Denver Mint. Yet a few have been discovered, instantly turning 1982 into one of the most important modern coin years ever. Because of all these variations, collectors must check 1982 pennies very carefully. The simplest way to identify the metal type is to weigh them. A genuine copper cent weighs about 3.11 grams, while a zinc cent weighs 2.5 grams. Even a difference of a fraction of a gram can tell you which version you have. Many people have old jars of pennies at home, and coin hunters often dump the entire contents onto a table, searching specifically for 1982 coins to weigh them one by one. The excitement of possibly finding a rare transitional variety is what makes this year so thrilling. The small date versus large date difference is also important. The small date has a thinner, more delicate look, especially in the number 2, which curves smoothly and has a softer tail. The large date looks bolder, thicker, and slightly taller. These visual details may seem tiny, but they are essential for identifying the rare combinations. For example, the extremely valuable 1982 D small date copper must have both the lighter design and the heavier weight. Even today, collectors still check every 1982 penny carefully, hoping to find another one. 1982 pennies also come with many natural issues caused by the zinc core. Some zinc cents have bubbles in the copper plating, known as plating blisters. Others have weak strikes or corrosion spots. These issues don't usually add value, but they help explain why collectors prefer copper pennies for quality and long-term stability. Despite this, Uncirculated zinc examples with strong strikes can still be worth premium money when graded. Because of all these details, 1982 became a legendary year for variety hunters, new collectors, and professional graders alike. The combination of multiple date sizes, two metals, a major transition, and one incredibly rare error makes 1982 one of the richest and most complex chapters in the entire history of the Lincoln cent. The year 1983 is one of the most surprising, unpredictable, and exciting years in the entire Lincoln cent series. Even though it looks like an ordinary modern penny, the 1983 cent carries a secret that shocked collectors, confused experts, and created one of the most dramatic discoveries of the late 20th century. When people look at a handful of pennies from the 1980s, most of them assume every coin is made exactly the same. But 1983 proved that even after a big metal transition, unexpected mistakes can still happen inside the U.S. Mint. Just 1 year earlier, the Mint had switched from solid copper cents to copper-plated zinc coins. According to official records, every single 1983 penny should be zinc with a weight of 2.5 grams. No exceptions. No leftover copper planchets. Nothing unusual should exist. But in reality, something extraordinary happened. A few genuine 1983 copper cents were discovered in the wild, and these coins were never supposed to be minted. They were struck on leftover copper planchets from 1982, meaning they are true transitional errors. Because they are extremely rare, these coins can sell for tens of thousands of dollars if authenticated by a major grading company. This one discovery completely transformed the way collectors think about 1983 pennies. Suddenly, every 1983 cent became a mystery worth checking. People began pulling them out of jars, drawers, piggy banks, and old coin rolls. They weighed each one carefully, hoping to find the magical 3.1 gram copper version. And although zinc cents make up almost all 1983 production, the possibility of finding just one rare copper transitional error keeps collectors searching even today. A 1983 penny that weighs around 3.11 grams is a potential treasure, something that could instantly become one of the rarest modern coins in the world. But transitional errors aren't the only special thing about this year. The 1983 cent is also famous for a powerful double die reverse variety that is still one of the most desirable modern Lincoln cent errors. On this coin, the doubling appears strongly on the words 1 cent, United States of America, and sometimes the columns of the Lincoln Memorial. The extra thickness, the separation, and the boldness of the doubled letters make this variety easy to spot. When found in high grade, it can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Collectors love this coin because it represents a clear and dramatic form of doubling that stands out even without a magnifying glass. Because 1983 cents were made of zinc, many of them developed surface problems over time. Plating bubbles, corrosion, pitting, and discoloration are extremely common. Zinc is much more fragile than copper, and once the thin copper coating cracks, the underlying metal can deteriorate quickly. Many 1983 pennies you find today may look damaged or worn out, but sharp, bright, uncirculated examples do exist in old savings jars and unopened rolls. When a collector finds a clean example with no corrosion and strong details, it becomes worth setting aside, especially if it carries any type of doubling or die crack. 1983 cents also feature a variety of minor errors such as off-center strikes, die chips, and misaligned dies. Although not as valuable as major double die coins, these errors appeal to collectors who enjoy building unique sets. For new collectors, 1983 is a perfect year to practice identifying metal composition, hunting for die varieties, and learning how transitional errors work. It serves as a reminder that even the smallest mistake inside the mint can create a legendary rarity. Collectors often say that the thrill of checking 1983 pennies never goes away. Every time someone picks up a 1983 cent and places it on a scale, that small moment of anticipation is part of the magic of coin collecting. It's the excitement of thinking, what if this is the one? Even though most 1983 pennies are common zinc cents worth only face value, the rare copper transitional and the iconic double die reverse continue to make 1983 one of the most memorable years in modern U.S. coinage. The year 1984 may look ordinary at first glance, but it produced one of the most famous and widely recognized modern errors in the entire Lincoln cent series. When people talk about valuable pennies from the 1980s, the conversation often leads straight to the 1984 Double Deer Lincoln cent. This coin turned a simple 1-cent piece into a modern treasure that collectors still search for every single day. But the story of 1984 pennies goes deeper than just one variety. It includes zinc complications, dieware issues, subtle collectible details, and a unique place in the history of modern American coinage. By 1984, the U.S. Mint had fully transitioned to the new composition of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper coating. This change introduced several production challenges. Zinc blanks were harder to strike cleanly. The surface plating sometimes blistered or bubbled, and the coins tended to corrode faster than the older copper versions. For this reason, many 1984 pennies found in circulation today look rough, dull, or pitted. The plating can peel, the surfaces can show dark spots, and the details often appear weaker than earlier copper cents. Because of this natural weakness, finding a clean, sharp, uncirculated 1984 penny is surprisingly difficult, making high-grade examples very desirable among collectors. But the star of the year, the variety that turned 1984 into a legendary date, is the 1984 Double Deer Lincoln cent. This dramatic error occurred when the hub used to create the die shifted slightly, resulting in a noticeable extra outline behind Lincoln's ear. The doubling is bold, clear, and instantly recognizable. It doesn't require special lighting or magnification. Even beginners can spot it once they know what to look for. This is why the 1984 Double Deer cent is one of the most popular error coins from the 1980s. In high grades, it can be worth serious money. Collectors often describe it as one of the most exciting finds someone can make in loose change or old penny rolls. Because of the heavy circulation these coins received over the decades, most Double Deer examples show wear. The doubled outline fades with time, making strong, uncirculated examples much more valuable. This is why collectors continue checking old bank-wrapped rolls, coin jars, and inherited savings containers, hoping to find a clean, sharp specimen. The possibility of pulling a valuable Double Deer cent out of everyday pocket change is what keeps the hunt alive, even decades after the coin was minted. Another interesting aspect of the 1984 pennies is the variety of minor errors produced that year. Due to the limitations of zinc planchets, the mint experienced issues with die fatigue and striking pressure. This led to several small but collectible varieties like die cracks, small cuts, filled letters, and occasional off-center strikes. Although these minor errors don't carry the same value as the Double Deer variety, they still attract error collectors who enjoy building detailed sets. Some examples display cracks along Lincoln's coat, die chips around the date, or raised bumps caused by plating damage. For error enthusiasts, these coins are fascinating because they show how the mint struggled to perfect the zinc plating process during the early years of the transition. The 1984 cent also marks a period where the quality of dies and manufacturing was changing. As the mint adjusted to the new metal, the polishing, die life, and striking consistency evolved. This is why many 1984 cents look soft or mushy in areas like the beard, hair, and coat. Collectors often note that even uncirculated coins from this year can show slight softness in the strike, making perfectly struck examples more desirable. Despite all the wear, damage, and plating issues, 1984 remains a must-check year. for anyone collecting Lincoln cents. The combination of a major double die error, the challenge of finding clean zinc coins, and the wide range of small varieties gives this year long-lasting popularity. It is a reminder that even in a common, heavily circulated coin, history and rarity can hide in the smallest details. For new collectors, the 1984 Double Deer penny becomes an exciting starting point. For experienced collectors, it remains one of the most iconic modern errors. And for coin hunters, it's a year that always deserves attention because the next Double Deer cent could be waiting inside the very next handful of change. The 1985 Lincoln cent may not have a single superstar error like the 1984 Double Deer or the 1983 Double Die Reverse, but it remains one of the most interesting and overlooked coins of the 1980s. Even though millions of 1985 pennies were produced, collectors quickly realized that this year holds a quiet importance. It represents a moment where the U.S. Mint was still adjusting to the new zinc composition, trying to refine die quality, and struggling with the challenges that came with copper-plated zinc planchets. Because of these issues, 1985 cents show unique characteristics, unusual strike qualities, and several minor errors that make them worth studying carefully. By 1985, the Mint had been producing zinc pennies for only 3 years. Zinc was cheaper, but it created new complications. The copper plating was extremely thin and often reacted poorly during striking. When the blank coin was hit by the dies, the pressure sometimes caused tiny splits, cracks, or blisters in the plating. As a result, many 1985 pennies show bubbling across the surface, giving them a rough or uneven texture. Collectors call these plating blisters. And while they do not add value, they tell the story of the early zinc era, a period when the Mint was still figuring out how to perfect the technique. Another challenge in 1985 was the striking strength. Many coins from this year suffer from weak details, especially in Lincoln's beard, hair, cheekbone, and the center details of the reverse. Weak strikes create a soft appearance, making the coin look worn even if it is actually uncirculated. This is why high-grade, sharply struck 1985 pennies are not as common as people expect. When collectors find a crisp, bright, well-struck 1985 cent, they often set it aside because they know how difficult it is to find one in perfect condition. Although 1985 does not have a famous double die variety, it does include many smaller but interesting errors that collectors enjoy. These include die cracks, die chips, filled letters, die clashes, and off-center strikes. Die cracks are especially common because the early zinc planchets caused increased stress on the dies. As the dies were used repeatedly, tiny cracks formed, leaving raised lines on the finished coins. These cracks can appear on Lincoln's coat, behind his head, or along the rim. Some collectors like to build special sets of coins that show different kinds of die cracks from this year, treating each one like a small piece of minting history. Off-center strikes from 1985 are also popular. Off-center errors happen when the blank coin is not placed exactly in the center of the press. The result is a coin with part of the design missing on one side and stretched on the other. Mild off-center errors, such as 5% or 10%, are collectible but not extremely valuable. However, dramatic off-center strikes of 40% or more can bring good prices, especially if the date remains visible. A 1985 Lincoln cent that is off-center with a clear date is considered a very desirable error. Collectors also look for die deterioration doubling on 1985 cents. This is not a true double die. Instead, it is caused by old, worn dies that create a thick, distorted appearance on certain letters or numbers. Although these coins don't carry major value, they help new collectors learn how to tell the difference between real doubling and worn die doubling. Because 1985 was a high production year, the Mint used dies for longer periods, which led to more deterioration doubling than usual. Another reason the 1985 penny deserves attention is the sheer number of coins still found in circulation today. Many people still have jars, boxes, and containers full of pennies from the 1980s, and 1985 is often one of the most common years in those piles. For coin hunters, this makes 1985 a great year to study because there is so much material to search through. Even if most coins are common, the possibility of finding a high-grade example, a small error, or a clean, uncirculated zinc cent keeps collectors interested. While the 1985 penny may not seem dramatic at first glance, its story reflects an important moment in mint history. It captures the ongoing learning process of working with zinc, the gradual improvement of die technology, and the transition into the modern era of American coinage. For collectors, the 1985 Lincoln cent is more than just a simple coin. It is a reminder that even common years can hold hidden details, interesting errors, and collectible varieties. Whether you're a beginner searching through pocket change or an experienced collector studying the evolution of mint quality, the 1985 Lincoln cent offers a unique window into the challenges and innovation that shaped the pennies of the 1980s. The 1986 Lincoln cent may look like just another regular penny at first glance, but for collectors, it represents a very interesting moment in the evolution of modern American coinage. By 1986, the U.S. Mint had been using the copper-plated zinc composition for only a few years, and the public was still adjusting to the lighter weight and different feel of these new coins. The 1986 cent is an example of how this early zinc era produced coins with subtle differences, small quality issues, and occasional striking quirks that can make certain pieces worth far more than face value. Even though millions were minted, collectors always pay close attention to coins from this year because the minting technology was still transitioning, the dies were being heavily used, and errors appeared more frequently compared to today. When someone holds a 1986 penny, it feels noticeably lighter than the older, pre-1982 coins that were made of solid copper. That weight difference is one of the first things collectors check, because a rare mistake can occur if a copper planchet was accidentally used. Normally, a 1986 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. But if you find one that weighs around 3.1 grams, that means it may have been struck on a leftover copper planchet from earlier years. Such a coin can become extremely valuable because it represents a major minting error, and collectors love these unexpected survivors from a previous metal era. Most 1986 pennies are zinc, but checking the weight is always recommended, especially if you are searching through old jars, rolls, and mixed batches. Another thing that makes the 1986 cent interesting is the possibility of die chips, die cracks, and worn dies that created coins with extra metal or distorted details. These are not fake errors. They are natural flaws caused by the mint's machinery wearing down during production. For example, some 1986 cents show small raised bumps around the date, the letters of Liberty, or around Lincoln's jacket. These bumps are called die chips, and while most are minor, some larger ones can be collectible, especially if they form noticeable shapes. Because the zinc core is soft, the copper plating sometimes stretched or cracked during the strike, creating plating bubbles or tiny splits. These flaws can make a coin stand out, and certain dramatic bubbles near Lincoln's portrait or close to the date can bring higher prices among collectors who specialize in plating issues. The reverse side featuring the Lincoln Memorial can also show interesting variations. Some 1986 coins have weak strikes where the memorial details, like the steps or columns, appear soft or faded. Others show strong, sharp lines depending on how fresh the dies were. Certain pieces even develop small die cracks running through the word one or cent. These cracks become raised lines on the coin, and while many are minor, larger ones can add value. The subtle differences between a normal strike, a weak strike, and a die damage strike are part of what makes searching 1986 pennies enjoyable for collectors who like hunting for small but meaningful flaws. Because the 1986 cent was mass-produced, Most examples in circulated condition will only be worth face value, but the rare and high-grade pieces can become extremely valuable. A 1986 penny graded at the highest mint state levels, especially with a strong strike and clean surfaces, can sell for significant amounts at auctions. These top-quality coins are hard to find because zinc cents wear down quickly, lose their original shine, and often develop dark spots or corrosion. Zinc reacts easily with moisture, so it is rare to find a 1986 cent in perfect condition unless it was saved immediately after minting. That is why collectors pay so much attention to luster, color, and the quality of the plating when evaluating these coins. Another area collectors look at is the possibility of double dyes. While major double dye varieties are not common for 1986, minor doubling can appear in areas like the date, Liberty, or the motto "Iron God We Trust." Most examples are slight and low in value, but a strong double dye, if discovered, would attract enormous attention. Every year, collectors continue to search through thousands of 1986 pennies hoping to uncover a new and previously unknown variety. Even a small degree of doubling can give the coin extra interest. Overall, the 1986 Lincoln cent stands at the perfect intersection of widespread circulation, early zinc-era minting quirks, and the possibility of rare errors. It reminds collectors that even a coin worth 1 cent can hide surprises, whether it is an unexpected metal composition, a small die chip, a plating bubble, or a perfectly preserved high-grade example. The excitement of searching through ordinary pennies comes from moments like these, where a common coin suddenly becomes valuable simply because it carries a tiny detail, a minting flaw, or a condition that sets it apart from millions of others. The 1988 Lincoln cent is one of those coins that looks extremely common on the surface, but becomes surprisingly interesting once you start learning about its varieties and hidden details. At first glance, it seems like a normal, everyday penny, part of the billions produced during the late 1980s. But 1988 is a very important year for collectors because of one major discovery, the rare transitional reverse variety that accidentally used an older design. This single mistake turned an ordinary-looking penny into one of the most desirable modern Lincoln cents. Even beyond that famous variety, the 1988 penny also brings a mix of zinc-era striking issues, plating flaws, die cracks, and condition challenges that make it worth searching carefully. By 1988, the U.S. Mint had been using the copper-plated zinc composition for several years, meaning each coin had a zinc core with a thin coating of copper. This metal change introduced new types of minting behavior, especially when the plating did not perfectly adhere to the surface. Some 1988 cents show small bubbles, blisters, or raised patches caused by trapped gas under the copper layer. These plating bubbles may appear on Lincoln's cheek below the date or around the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Larger, more dramatic blisters can attract collector interest because they show how the zinc core interacted with the strike. While minor bubbles are common and low in value, unusual or eye-catching ones can be sought after by era collectors. One major reason the 1988 penny is famous is because of the transitional design variety, known as the 1988 reverse of 1989. This variety happened when the mint accidentally used the wrong reverse die. Instead of using the standard 1988 reverse, they used the newer 1989 design. The differences are tiny but important, especially around the FG initials near the Lincoln Memorial. On the regular 1988 reverse, the designer's initials appear lower and farther from the building. On the 1989 reverse, the initials sit higher and closer. When an expert examines this closely, they can instantly tell which reverse is present. Even though these details are small, the variety is extremely valuable because transitional design mix-ups do not happen often. The rare 1988 with the 1989 reverse can sell for hundreds or even thousands depending on condition, making it one of the most exciting finds in modern pocket change. Besides the transitional reverse, the 1988 penny also has plenty of die chips and die cracks caused by heavy production demands. Some examples show chips around the letters of Liberty at the edges of Lincoln's coat or inside the numbers of the date. These appear as small raised metal spots that formed when the die wore out. Larger die chips, especially those that form noticeable shapes, can be collected as minor errors. Die cracks, which look like raised lines across the surface of the coin, can run through the fields or connect letters. Although most are not high value, they show the working conditions of the dies and can add interest to an otherwise ordinary coin. Collectors also pay attention to doubling on 1988 cents, though strong double die varieties are not commonly known. Minor doubling can appear on the date, the word trust, or the reverse lettering. These small double details are usually low in value, but still fun to identify. The real prize remains the transitional reverse variety, which keeps the 1988 cent relevant among treasure hunters and roll searchers. Because zinc pennies corrode more easily than copper coins, finding a 1988 cent in brilliant original condition is challenging. The zinc core can react with moisture and create dark spots, bubbling, or rough texture. That is why high-grade 1988 cents are more desirable than people expect. A well-preserved example with original luster, clean surfaces, and no stains can bring solid prices in top mint state grades. The contrast between the copper plating and the lighter zinc metal beneath also makes scratches more visible, meaning even small imperfections reduce the grade quickly. This sensitivity makes pristine 1988 cents harder to find, especially if they circulated for years. The reverse design from this period also shows signs of weak striking in some cases. Because the mint was producing billions of coins, dies were often overused. As a result, the steps of the Lincoln Memorial or the fine interior details can appear faded or soft. Weak reverses are common, but coins with strong, crisp details stand out sharply and are more collectible. The combination of strike, quality, plating condition, and die wear all contribute to how sharply a 1988 penny displays its design. Even though this penny is common in worn condition, the thrill of searching comes from uncovering one of those rare transitional reverses or discovering a high-grade, uncirculated piece. The 1988 cent reminds collectors that even the most ordinary coins can hold hidden surprises. A small detail, a slight design difference, or a minting quirk can instantly transform a normal-looking penny into something valuable. That is what keeps people examining their pocket change, because sometimes a special coin is sitting right in front of you without anyone noticing. The 1990 Lincoln cent may appear ordinary at first glance, a simple penny in the long line of copper-plated zinc coins, but it carries several interesting aspects that make it highly collectible for both modern coin enthusiasts and error collectors. By 1990, the U.S. Mint had refined the process of producing zinc-based pennies, but the zinc composition still caused unique challenges in striking and plating. As a result, while most 1990 pennies are common and circulate widely, there are several noteworthy features, minor errors, and rare varieties that continue to attract attention decades later. Understanding these subtleties helps collectors distinguish ordinary coins from truly valuable finds. One of the most famous aspects of the 1990 Lincoln cent is related to proof coin errors, specifically the rare 1990 no-S proof. Normally, proof pennies from this year bear an S mint mark indicating they were struck at the San Francisco Mint. However, a small number of 1990 proof pennies were accidentally struck with no mint mark at all, creating a major rarity. These coins are not found in circulation. They only exist in official mint sets. Because of their scarcity, when one appears at auction, it can command thousands of dollars. The no-S proofs are carefully authenticated by professional grading services, and their rarity makes them among the most sought-after modern proof coins for Lincoln cent collectors. For circulation coins, the 1990 penny continued the trends of previous zinc-era issues. The thin copper plating over the zinc core can sometimes develop plating blisters, corrosion, or pitting. Even coins that were never circulated can show minor imperfections from the striking process or storage conditions. Collectors pay close attention to luster, color, and surface integrity when evaluating 1990 cents. A bright, sharp, uncirculated zinc penny is increasingly difficult to find, which makes high-grade examples desirable despite the year's overall commonality. Die errors are also present in 1990 cents, though major double die varieties are extremely rare. Minor double dies, die cracks, and die chips can be seen on certain coins. For instance, some 1990 pennies display slight doubling on the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or the word "Liberty." Die cracks often appear along Lincoln's coat, the rim, or the steps of the memorial on the reverse. While these minor errors do not dramatically increase the coin's value, they are highly collectible for enthusiasts who enjoy documenting subtle production differences and building comprehensive error sets. Another interesting feature in some 1990 cents is the occurrence of off-center strikes. These errors happen when the blank planchet is not properly aligned with the press, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing or shifted. Off-center strikes vary in severity, from 5% to 50% or more. Dramatic off-center strikes with a fully visible date can command premium prices among collectors because they are unusual and visually striking. Even slight misalignments can be appealing for error collectors who aim to showcase unusual minting outcomes. Surface quality in 1990 cents is a major factor for collectors. Zinc coins are more susceptible to environmental damage than older copper coins, so many circulated examples show scratches, discoloration, or dark toning. Finding a pristine 1990 penny with no corrosion, strong luster, and sharp details is rare, making such coins valuable, particularly in high grades. Uncirculated examples from the original mint rolls or savings sets often fetch higher prices than common circulated coins, especially if they have strong strike detail on both the obverse and reverse. The 1990 Lincoln cent also offers insight into the minting processes of the late 20th century. Even with mass production, careful examination reveals subtle differences in die polishing, striking depth, and design details. Collectors can notice minor variances in Lincoln's hair, beard, cheek contours, and coat folds. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial shows variation in line sharpness, step definition, and column clarity. These small differences make the coin interesting for numismatists studying modern minting evolution. In summary, while the 1990 Lincoln cent may seem ordinary, it provides several avenues for collectors: rare, no-S proof errors, high-grade uncirculated examples, minor die errors, off-center strikes, and subtle variations in strike quality. The coin demonstrates that even late 20th century pennies, which are easy to overlook in everyday circulation, can hide significant value and collectible interest. Whether for beginner collectors, error hunters, or modern Lincoln cent enthusiasts, the 1990 penny remains a coin worth examining carefully, reminding us that even the most common coin can sometimes contain unexpected surprises.